So, this is my stand-up set in a club. There's like 50 people here.
This is Larry Feinberg. He's a stand-up comedian. When he's not hanging out at home with his roommates, or at his neighbor's apartment shooting the breeze, he's at an open mic night, giving his best one-liners. He sometimes tells fun anecdotes about his relatable life, or gives his hot takes on current topics in a light-hearted way. Everything he says is generated by artificial intelligence, and no one could have predicted he would say what he said on that one fateful night that led to disaster and his inevitable demise.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Larry was one of the 4 characters in a procedurally generated animated sitcom broadcast that streams 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the streaming website twitch.tv in the winter of 2023. If viewers were to tune in to twitch.tv/watchmeforever, they would discover something so utterly strange, so utterly weird, and well and truly unlike anything ever seen before. Characters seemingly interacting with each other, talking about mundane and relatable topics. This isn't new to our culture, we see it on TV all the time, but all of it is procedurally generated by AI.
There is no continuity, and topics are constantly repeated. Characters quickly forget what they've talked about in previous scenes. And the jokes. Oh god, the jokes.
So, what's the deal with airline food? Am I right?
The jokes are terrible. Conversations are regularly and abruptly interrupted by canned laughter of seemingly random degrees of enthusiasm.
That's not funny.
It isn't uncommon for canned laughter to play before there's even a hint of a punchline being said. It plays like a sitcom, but strikes this rare balance of funny, charming, and utterly disturbing all at once. Characters move unnaturally, stand around not facing each other. Occasionally they try to sit down, and sometimes they try to use the microwave.
How about some sushi?
Sushi. You know I'm not a fan of raw fish.
Every so often, we get to see Larry perform stand-up, accompanied by a catchy beat. And the jokes are always terrible.
Now for some of my favorite jokes. What did the fish say when he hit a wall? Damn!
Sometimes, though, even that seemingly simple setup malfunctions.
I guess the moral of the story is never stop trying to find humor in seemingly mundane things.
Just in case you didn't know already, Twitch is a website where anyone with a computer or a phone can live stream themselves on the internet playing video games, chatting, cooking, painting, all kinds of content. Seriously. I also regularly stream on Twitch. There's a link in the description. You should just check it out or something. Over the last year, Twitch channels of AI-generated content are starting to pop up more and more. Since December 2022, search results for terms like AI, artificial intelligence, DALL-E, ChatGPT have skyrocketed. It's clear to see it's been a major trending topic of 2023, whether it's AI being used to generate art, which is a topic in and of itself, and I'm not getting into it, to make music, to make essays for lazy students. Yo, I didn't have this when I was at school. I stayed up really late with a Red Bull and deep regret that I would wait until the last minute to write my essay. Seriously, we're all like this. I don't know what I'd do now if I had the technology that kids have these days to write essays for them. It makes me sick and I'm stressed just even thinking about it. AI for upscaling images, turning people into cartoons. Look at this. Clearly, there's a worldwide fascination with this phenomenon like never before. On December 2nd, 2022, the co-creator Skylar Hartle posted on Reddit announcing the launch of Nothing Forever, an AI-generated, always streaming parody of 90s sitcoms.
Hey everybody, we're finally launching our always-on generative show, Nothing Forever, streaming on Twitch. We set out to build something weird, new, and novel, and this is what we ended up with. Aside from the artwork and the laugh track you'll hear, everything is generative, including dialogue, speech, direction, character character movement, and music.
According to Skylar, for those who know and understand the different languages, systems, and models listed below, Nothing Forever is built using a combination of machine learning, generative algorithms, and cloud services, including Python, TensorFlow, TypeScript, Azure Functions, Heroku, and then using C# and Unity for the client, and neural voice APIs. Skylar also mentions plans to use OpenAI's DaVinci model in the future. So to the normies like me out there, what that means is that they're using a lot of different AI tools to create everything you see on Nothing Forever. The only parts that aren't AI generated is the character designs themselves and the literal human laughter. This is super impressive. After Skylar posted the link to the show in various AI subreddits, people started to check out their Twitch channel. And by the end of December 2022, Watch Me Forever had a staggering 34 followers. So it didn't pick up immediately. Well, it's not a problem. The show continued to air 24/7 on Twitch with no audience to be found until January 30th. Skylar posted on Reddit about its existence again, and this time it finally got noticed. I actually reached out to Brian Habersberger over email about the crazy sudden success of Nothing Forever, and he was kind enough to respond. And he said this.
After working on the project for 4-ish years, we had reached a point where it was watchable and stable in late 2022. By this point, we were all a little burnt out on the project, so decided to put it out there as it was and see if anybody wanted this crazy thing we'd built. My partner Skylar started tossing it out on Reddit and other discussion areas, and it was noticed by a tech reporter at Vice who did a brief interview with us and wrote an article. From there, it took off from 5 viewers to many thousands within a few days.
The Vice article in question was released on January 31st. When you look at the graphs showing the average concurrent viewership of Watch Me Forever from January 31st, it skyrockets from 1 to 2 viewers to a gastronomical peak of 16,500 viewers. At one point, Watch Me Forever was the 5th highest viewed channel on the entire platform of Twitch. The channel went from 100 followers to nearly 200,000 followers in the space of a week. And it was of the likes never seen before on Twitch. Everyone was talking about it. Have you guys seen that stream that's completely AI generated? Check out this channel. It's called Watch Me Forever, and it's like an AI sitcom, but it plays 24/7. Hey, have you seen AI Seinfeld?
I remember sitting in a Discord call with Yogscast, about to record a TTT episode, and while we were waiting for people to wake up, Rillian told us about this strange AI-generated TV show on Twitch, and that it was super weird and that we should check it out. It was sitting at around, 100 to 200 viewers at the time, and I immediately fell in love with it. I couldn't wait to tell all my friends, and sure enough, I wasn't the only one. The show was something special. It had a certain charm to it none of us could quite place. So to see it absolutely explode with popularity in the space of a few days was what I would call a true lightning in a bottle.
Introducing Nothing Forever. 4 friends living in an apartment complex together, having mundane conversations about nothing, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Larry, Yvonne, Fred, and Katla stand around each other's apartments, talking about the latest, this and that. It's impossible to ignore the fact that these characters resembled the main cast of characters in the popular American sitcom from the 90s, Seinfeld. Larry Feinberg resembles Jerry Seinfeld. Fred Castopoulos is the spitting image of George Costanza. Yvonne Torres is indisputably similar to Elaine Benez, and Zoltan Kakler is clearly based off of Cosmo Kramer. They even refer to Zoltan as his surname, Kakler, much like his counterpart in Seinfeld. The original logo is even fashioned in the same way as Seinfeld.
It wasn't trying hard to be anything but a parody of this well-known show. This familiarity was, I believe, crucial to the success of the show. Even if you'd never watched Seinfeld, like me actually, there was this immediate connecting point for anyone who understands English and had watched TV before. Sitcoms are ingrained in pop culture, especially the ones that came out in the 90s, and have a very recognizable format.
Well, that's great, because 180 episodes is not nearly enough. Let's make it 180 million! So what does it do? Is it write new things? Oh wow, do they make any sense? No, it's AI crap.
A group of relatable young adults talk about life, work, and love, accompanied by a laugh track. The transitions between scenes play a familiar sounding jingle or soundtrack. I can't count how many times I would sing the jingle to Nothing Forever out loud during the day. It was forever stuck in my head. Then, of course, there's the cast of characters. The characters are normal, uninteresting, average intelligence, and just a little bit terrible.
I've yada yada sex.
It's a tried and true formula that appeals to a broad audience. So seeing all of this familiar formula being magically generated by artificial intelligence, it was immediately fascinating.
I would have gone for something along the lines of no soup for you.
Now that's a classic.
Why don't we just stick to regular conversation from now on? No more Feinberg references.
There was a sense of comfort from hearing the characters say the same sorts of mundane things over and over again.
What?
When coupled with a maniacal and hive-like Twitch chat, hearing a character mention a new restaurant opening up in town for like the 15th time in 5 minutes
Did you guys hear about that new restaurant that opened up near the office?
created a sort of sense of community, being a part of something familiar and wholesome. You could come to Nothing Forever and immediately feel at home somehow. Viewers could find solace in knowing that while sometimes these characters would say something marginally different, they would inevitably always return to talking about the same old, boring, humdrum topic like food, work, or dating.
I mean, who hates fruit?
Well, maybe he was trying to be edgy or something.
Or he could just be a fruitophobe.
Maybe it's a fear of commitment.
While occasionally mucking around with the obnoxiously loud microwave.
What makes Nothing Forever infinitely more interesting is the fact that it isn't quite perfect. Far from it. The characters would be in a constant loop of talking about pointless topics, but absurdly they would spend all their time just standing, looking at a wall. Sometimes the characters attempt to sit down on a seat somewhere, leading to hilarious consequences. Collisions inconsistent with other characters. Sometimes they can't walk past each other. Sometimes they sit directly on top of each other. Since all the speech is generated by AI and inputted via text-to-speech, nothing sounds natural. It's some uncanny valley.
The creators of Nothing Forever have mentioned in an interview that one of their inspirations was David Lynch's surrealist short film, Rabbits. The short film depicts humanoid creatures with unmoving rabbit heads existing in a living room and having seemingly meaningless conversation.
There is something I would like to say to you, Susie.
They are uncomfortably still, rigid, emotionless, weird happens. It's surrealist, and most importantly, uncomfortable and weirdly fascinating to watch. Yet it's still able to be relatable and a mirror to everyday human lives. Nothing Forever somehow manages to be both wholesome, absurd, familiar, yet surprising, and all at the same time just utterly weird. Always on, always weird has always been the show's slogan after all. It knows what it is. It seems like the weirdness wasn't actually intended, a failure of the systems to create a natural-looking scene. But nope, the creators had this in mind all along.
And so, with this concoction, the show absolutely exploded with success. It was the place to be. I remember sitting in a Discord call with my friend, just sitting and watching and laughing along. It felt fun to scream in all caps, new restaurant, and whenever the microwave was used. To join a flood of identical messages pour into chat like we're at a football match.
The feeling of togetherness was real, and it felt good to be doing this over something rather than a single creator. We felt part of something special. The show got so big that many large channels on Twitch and YouTube started talking about it. Most notably, the most popular streamer on Twitch, XQC, reacted to the show on his own channel and even paid $1,000 to allegedly have himself put into the show.
Wait,
Get rid of rats.
for $1,000 you get a character.
This took place on his live stream on February 1st.
Thank God I
Did
did
you
it.
hear about the
It was said that on the Nothing Forever Patreon, if you joined the highest of 2 payment tiers, which was a steep $1,000 a month, you would be created and would sometimes appear in the show as a character. The Patreon still exists to this day, but this tier is currently sold out. Needless to say, the show was hugely popular in such a short amount of time, with the possibility of adding people into the show occasionally, and the hordes of viewers, Nothing Forever was looking to become more and more exciting and interesting.
But on February 6th, everything changed, and no one could have seen it coming. No one.
So, this is my stand-up set in a club. There's like 50 people here, and no one is laughing. Anyone have any suggestions? I'm thinking about doing a bit about how but no one is laughing.
At the peak of its popularity, the channel that was streaming for 2 months straight, 24 hours a day, Watch Me Forever, had been suspended on Twitch. Viewers were distraught. Viewers were confused. Viewers were frustrated. You couldn't tune into Watch Me Forever's Twitch channel anymore. You couldn't even go back to watch their VODs or clips. What happened? Why was Larry able to go on a transphobic, homophobic rampage at all? These characters have never really been political in the past, and they certainly never made jokes about LGBTQIA plus people, and honestly, they'd never really been remotely edgy at all. This moment was really jarring. It makes your asshole pucker. It's a big oof, as the kids call it. And understandably, a flock of 16,000 people watching a Twitch stream reported it. Twitch took action by giving Watch Me Forever's Twitch channel a tasty 2-week suspension. Following this, a statement was issued to the Watch Me Forever Discord reporting on what happened. This came from a moderator and not Skylar or Brian themselves. Following this, several updates came out from the moderators. It seems as though everyone on the team was taking this seriously, and by the sounds of it, it was just a matter of fixing a few things behind the scenes to ensure Larry wasn't going to say anything bigoted ever again. Every day that passed since the ban, I would check their Twitch channel to see if their ban had been revoked. My fear was that this was going to be the nothing forever that I had feared. Nothing forever, where we would never hear that jingle, and we would never hear someone use the microwave. We would never hear jokes about fish crashing into walls. We would never experience that virality of Twitch chat, which felt like such a comfort in a sea of mundanity and mediocrity. After 14 days, navigating to twitch.tv/watchmeforever finally showed an active channel. Everything was as it was, the familiar logo and everything, but no stream. For a stream that was live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it was suddenly so quiet, so empty. The sad reality of it is that the longer that the channel went without a stream, the further into irrelevance it would go. I was worried. I didn't want to lose a place in which I'd found such solace. I frequented the subreddit and a Discord regularly. I wasn't alone. Plenty of people were wondering about the return of Nothing Forever, but the developers and the moderators had just disappeared. But then, on the 5th of March, something happened that surprised everyone. An IRL stream, that is, one that is captured in the real world, goes live on the channel for the first time in almost a month. It features what appears to be the streets of a city in South Korea and a leather backpack propped up against a lamppost featuring the Ukraine flag. In front of the backpack is a handwritten note, March 8th, 5 p.m. PST, not even an hour past it and the stream ends. Then, later that day, there are 2 more streams featuring what appears to be the same bag but in slightly different locations, all teasing the return of Nothing Forever. I remember the 8th of March. It was around midnight my time. I remember sitting in the Watch Me Forever Twitch chat among thousands of other people, buzzing with excitement. It was unforgettable. It was remarkable how such a strange Twitch channel could be such a source of joy and entertainment for thousands of people. And thousands of them were pouring into the stadium, gazing up at the stage in anticipation for the return of AI magic. Then, suddenly, they went live. The TV guide scene starts to play. Oh, nothing. Oh my god, what's happening? It's just so familiar. Oh my god, Nothing Forever's back. Oh my god, the energy chat is going crazy right now. It's just, there's so many of us here. Is that a new logo? Oh my god, is that season 2? Whoa, oh my god, is that a new apartment complex? Wait, music's different. What's Dear Internet? Wait, is that Larry? Oh my god, is that Larry? And there's some names at the bottom. Leo Borges. Wait, who's that? Is that Larry? Has he got a new model? Is this a blog? Oh no, this isn't funny. What about the restaurants? What about the jokes? Who are these people? This is a joke, right? This is just a tease. Don't worry. Don't worry. Everything's gonna be fine. See, they're making meta jokes. See? They know. Don't worry, guys. Don't you worry. Like, give it a second. It's gonna Okay, after this TV segment, it's going straight back to normal. Oh no. Where's Larry? Where's Yvonne? Fred? Cackler? Are these just new characters? The longer time passed, the more everyone realized AI Seinfeld was gone. Nothing Forever was back, but it was completely and utterly beyond recognition. Twitch chat and the Discord server was flooding with miles of vitriol. Where's Larry? Bring back Larry. It's not the same. This sucks. These character models are hideous. Oh god, look how they massacred my boy, etc., etc. Our collective hearts sank. All the charm we remembered, the perfect concoction of weird and wonderful, was a thing of the past. This was the new reality of Nothing Forever. When everyone realized that this wasn't a joke, and this was the true return for the show, vast numbers of people peeled off. The return stream peaked at over 8,000 viewers, but that number dwindled pitifully below 1,000 over the next week. A small increase in viewership occurred when the developers switched the channel over to use OpenAI's GPT-4, i.e. a more sophisticated and updated system to generate the dialogue, but the follower count and viewership has dwindled ever since.
So the question is, what happened? When I reached out to ask them both about why the show had changed so dramatically, they very plainly and explicitly said they just couldn't comment on it whatsoever. Rumors spread that they'd received a cease and desist from Seinfeld about the show, and if it was being associated with problematic behavior for our old friend Larry over here, it would make sense if there was some company out there threatening legal action against them. As for all the seemingly big changes, such as the characters, it seems as though all of this was in service of distinguishing itself from Seinfeld as much as possible, and forming its own identity outside of what made it so magical in the first place. And yes, as a result, it did mean that the appeal was lost as a result, and like a new restaurant, if there's no one eating there, you're just less likely to want to try it out, because no one wants to eat at an empty restaurant.
I spent a good few weeks continuing to watch and enjoy season 2. The new characters and vibes had its own uniqueness to it. Something that this version of Nothing Forever brings is, well, nuance and depth that never existed before. Part of the charm of season 1 was that there was a sense of predictability and surrealism that made it both hilarious but comforting. Chat would get accustomed to the same jokes, the same conversation topics, and the same mundanity of each episode. With season 2, it felt like the characters were having far more in-depth conversations that were certainly more relevant to today, and oftentimes a little goddamn miserable.
We're all mad here, aren't we? Just mad. Speaking words without sense, staring into the abyss of time while it wobbles and grins back at us.
Not to mention the characters were on occasion very mean to each other.
I don't know how he manages to find these jobs.
None of this is bad, it's just very, very different. But that doesn't mean it appeals to the masses of Twitch viewers anymore. And with any media, eventually fads just die. The interest in something just fades eventually. I can say with certainty that even if Nothing Forever hadn't been cancelled and season 1 continued to this day, people move on to the next exciting thing. I mean, like, right now, there's these things called NPC streams, and they're a bit of a fad right now. I mean, even that has less interest than it did, say, like a month ago. And I realized that anytime you decide to watch this video, you might be like, wow, that was really only like a week, Lollip. What a weird, irrelevant example. Anyway.
So spicy.
Nothing Forever continues to stream as we speak. I asked Brian, one of the developers, about his feelings on the explosion of popularity and its subsequent fall in popularity. And he said,
"The internet is fickle, but we learned a lot about audiences and viral content, while hopefully only suffering mild emotional trauma from it all. In my case, my first child was born about 3 weeks before everything blew up, so I was insulated from a lot of the craziness due to having limited energy and to pay attention to or engage with it."
When asked about the future of the show, he said,
Nothing Forever is receiving ongoing tweaks, and we'd like to find ways to make the show more interactive without compromising safety. Interaction is not difficult, but preventing prompt hacking attacks is a major concern.
So what this means is, the developers set out to make an AI-generating TV show that plays forever. And they did that. At no point did they set out to make tons of money, get famous, or constantly innovate to find new audiences and become a blowout success again. They have lives to live, and they want at all costs to protect the show and its viewers from harm. Many fans criticize the show for taking too long to come back, or changing too much too soon, for ruining what made the show good. But the fact of the matter is, feedback like this was never going to be taken on board, and that's okay. For now, it will simply be an interesting phenomenon that was momentarily popular and now isn't.
Hi, it's Lolip from the future. I wanted to put this insert in because there's been a small development with Watch Me Forever. Just a small one. As I said, season 2 has been literally playing since. It's been using GPT-4. It's really just been exactly the same as it was since it came back, mostly. But recently, it hard broke. And it didn't just hard break, it broke for a week. We're talking full-blown, stuck in a forever loop. No one's saying anything. There's no music. There's no movement. It is wild. And it's been described as a philosophical window into existential dread. I know about this because Kotaku wrote an article on October 31st about how Seinfeld has basically devolved into existential horror and is broken as hell. So, first of all, 5 days, AI Seinfeld was basically stuck in this loop where Leo and Nick were basically colliding constantly into the fridge, and they just literally couldn't escape. But every so often it would cut back to the living room, and occasionally you would see a red-headed man, aka Manfred, appearing, disappearing inconsistently, that it was just like it became its own spectacle. So it did actually pick up in some views around that time. Then they finally broke out of the loop, and now the music is just straight broken. Not to mention the gaps between the speech patterns is hugely elongated.
And why does Manfred act as if he's from another planet?
Exactly.
It feels like an absolute nightmare world, and it is just hysterical. Listen to some of this music right now. So the Kotaku article says something along the lines of, it's not just the bizarre movements like hips spasming or necks twisting, the uncomfortable quiet that's occasionally broken by laugh tracks. It's also the conversations, like they don't talk about things like dating and lighthearted stuff or cooking. Now they keep talking about existence. They keep talking about how they're trapped in a simulation, constantly being meta.
That's it. We have been replaced. We're not us anymore. This isn't normal.
It's all just so creepy. It's really gone quite far from its original concept, but it's definitely a different experience to what it used to be, that's for sure. Anyway, I'm just gonna carry on the video now. That was it.
But it continues to this day to be nothing forever, always on, and always weird.